Well, we've got to the stage on our engine here where we're going to remove the rear main crankshaft seal, and I'm having a bit of trouble getting a good shot of it. I can show you the bottom, no worries, when I wind it over through here. So you can see that roughly. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts here to take this section off, but when I take it round the other side, I'm having trouble getting a good picture, getting a good view with the engine stand in the way. So that's about where we can get with it roughly. But so we have the 4 bottom bolts, then we have 3 at the top and 2 clamp bolts. Now the clamp bolts hold the 2 halves together. So what I like to do is just undo the 2 clamp bolts a bit, just to take the tension out of the whole show. See if I can get in there. And on the top bolt here, now you need to probably try and get a little ring spanner in there if you can, but it is tight just to undo it. But look, that bolt's loose anyway. And this little top one here, we'll try that one. You can see nothing with me bloody black hands in the way. And I'll try and come in under here where I can't see what I'm doing. Won't make any bloody difference, eh? Okay, so they're loose. The 3 are loose. Now the one, I'll just grab that little ratchet I had, that I should have had with me, but I didn't. Okay. Laid it on the bench ready to go, then started the video and left it there. So they might be finger tight by now. Oh, you would think so. The bottom one is here. We'll cover replacing this when we get to putting the crank back in, but this morning our little exercise is to pull these bolts out. That's one. It's a 5/16 UNC, but it has thread all the way, which I couldn't remember them doing that, but they must have done. Try and keep my hand out of the way if I can. Now these little fellas, they should come out of the way as well. Now the one in the middle here, the others you can just get a socket on, and it only just fits, but you can. So just's good enough, isn't it? That's my story anyway. But the little one in the top there, you can't get a socket onto, this little fella here. You've got to get an open end spanner. If you can start it off with a thin ring spanner, you're okay, but yeah, with the, and see, they're only little short bolts, and the thing to keep in mind with these too is that you have a flat washer to spread the load. It's only a tiny little one to spread the load, then you have a shake-proof washer. That's what a shake-proof washer, if I can get it where you can see the bloody thing. That's a shake-proof washer. So we're probably racing against the clock a little bit today. It's fine this morning, and they're saying that this afternoon we're going to have 35, 40 km/h winds and showers. So I'm up the shed early trying to get at least a couple of videos done for the week for you. And that way we've got something to go on with. Keep you entertained. Keep my project going too. Some projects, and you've seen them on my channel in the past, they stall. You get that busy with everything else, but we do have a lot going on at the moment though. I don't know, the gloves are good for your hands apparently, keep the poisons out of your system, but you just haven't got that feel. Okay, so that's slopping around. Should be okay. So I'll give the handle a bit of a wind. And I'll just take all this off before it hits the floor. I haven't had to drop this video yet. It is one of my videos though, but stay tuned, there'll be one, don't worry. And I should be able to zoom out a little bit now. If I bring you around there, you might get a better look. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so now we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts here to undo. Now on the later tractors, they don't have the 4 bolts here, they often have 3, and the top and bottom halves there are a similar shaped housing. All you can see is a bloody hand whizzing around the place. It should be no good in the Discovery Channel, my bloody stuff, would it? Okay, they finger tight. That one is. That one is. This one and this one. Oh yeah, yeah, just. Okay, so there's no more bolts there. So these 2 housings, I'll just check that bottom bolt is loose. Yep. So these 2 housings can come loose. So you just want to be careful here, they're only just alloy housings, you don't want to go buggering it up too much. Now just check, that's all it is there. Yep. And you have to check later that if you do often have to give them a bit of a bump to get them free, but later on if you do have to, well, you will have to put them back on, just make sure there's no little burrs or nicks or anything. It's quite important. And there we go. Okay, so there's the top half. Oh, the bottom half, I'm sorry, and there's the rope seal. That's what's been doing all the sealing on the surface of the crank there. So we'll pop that one down on the floor there, and oh, well, this one isn't showing it so much, but on the other side there's a little, it feels like a little lip sort of thing to pull it out over. There we go, there's the other one. Oh, excuse me, straight in the bloody pot. But that's roughly the same. They usually look cleaner than that, but some bastards just drop that in the bloody sump. I think we'll put it back in there, be the safest place. Okay, so that's the rear seal off. Now, before we can pull the crank out, there's this housing here. Now, this housing, that's what your rear, your bottom half of your rear seal bolts to. And then when the sump comes on, you can see this little groove in through here. That little groove is where the cork goes, and when you bring your sump up, your sump pushes down on there. So when you're putting this back together, it's important to make sure that this is exactly level with the back end there. Now, there's a bolt at each side here. I'll see if I can zoom out without buddy. That's about as far as I can go. So there's a bolt here and another one on the other side. So we have to undo those. So to get the rear main bearing cap off, you can't get it off with that on. Well, look, no, you can't. You just can't, yeah. So we'll undo these bolts here. They're a 1/2 inch spanner fits them once more. So they're a UNF bolt. What's that, 1.25 inches long, maybe? So we'll put them down with the other bolts, and there we go. So there's the housing. You can buy these parts separately normally. So yeah, nothing special about that. Just the gasket. There's a gasket on the back housing that I can't get my fingers under because I've got bloody gloves on. So yeah, this gasket comes off, and this will get washed in a kerosene bath or in my parts washer with a LSA type degreaser in it. And then in these little grooves through here, I often like to bead blast it. I've got a blast cabinet with glass beads in it, so we'll tidy that up. And the same will happen with the engine seal, the rope seal housings, the top and bottom in through here. So now we can. There's 2 little marks on the crank there. They're supposed to be there, and actually it's one mark, but it's a spiral, so I'll try and bring you around into there. Okay, and we'll zoom you in a little bit and take my knockometer out of the way. Okay, so if you look down in here, you can see a mark on the crank. Now what can you see? I've just got yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see that. So if you look over the back here, what's the best way to show you? If you look right at the back about here, you can see the start of a spiral. And as you turn the crank, you can see the spiral turns like a big thread. So as the engine turns, the engine would turn this way, and any oil that gets in that little groove there, the idea of it is to bring all the oil forward away from coming out the back here. So you can see that, I believe, yeah. Then we'll move on next to pulling the crank out, and we'll actually check end float. Just for interest's sake, we will be setting it all back up again, but we'll go from there. But that's it for pulling the rear bearing seal, the rear engine seal housing off and pulling that out for cleaning. We'll go into depth a lot more when we're putting it back together. But look, for this video, that's it. We'll move on to pulling the crank out.